I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. The Final Frontier's Edge. Commander Victoria Rhodes stood at the observation deck of the UNSS Helios, watching distant stars ripple through the iridescent wall that had confined humanity to their home galaxy for centuries. The barrier stretched endlessly in every direction, a cosmic membrane that had swallowed every probe and ship humanity had thrown at it since its discovery 300 years ago. Commander, the quantum core is primed and ready. Dr. James Whitmore's voice carried the weight of 20 years of theoretical physics research. His weather-worn face appeared in the deck's holographic display, dark eyes intense beneath silver hair. "We're as ready as we'll ever be." Victoria nodded, her attention fixed on the swirling patterns of energy that danced across the barrier's surface. The Helios represented humanity's last hope, a ship designed not to break through the barrier, but to communicate with it. The vessel's revolutionary quantum consciousness core was the culmination of decades of research, built on the mysterious fragments of data recovered from the wreckage of previous attempts. "All sections report status," Victoria commanded, making her way to the bridge. The ship's neural interface hummed against her temple, connecting her to every system and crew member aboard the massive vessel. "Engineering reports optimal configuration," Lieutenant Kai Patel announced, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Quantum harmonics are stable at 89% efficiency." Dr. Nisha Kapoor, the ship's xenobiologist, looked up from her station. "Biometric monitoring systems are online. Whatever happens when we make contact, we'll have comprehensive data on how it affects organic matter." Victoria settled into the command chair, feeling the subtle vibration of the quantum core resonating through the ship's structure. "Begin final approach sequence. Dr. Whitmore, initiate consciousness synchronization." The crew of 400 had trained for years for this moment. They weren't just a team. They were a collective consciousness, their minds linked through the ship's neural network in a way that previous missions had never attempted. As the Helios glided closer to the barrier, the ship's sensors detected something new: patterns in the energy field that seemed to respond to their presence. Not like the violent reactions that had torn apart previous vessels, but something almost curious. "Energy signatures shifting," reported Commander Dmitry Volkov from the sensor array. "The barrier's frequency is adjusting to match our quantum harmonic output. This is unprecedented." Victoria felt it through the neural link, a gentle resonance, like a conversation in a language she almost understood. The barrier's surface began to shimmer with new colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. "Consciousness sync at 95% and holding," Dr. Whitmore announced, his voice tight with concentration. "The quantum core is responding exactly as theorized. The barrier isn't just a wall, it's alive, sentient." Through the neural link, Victoria could feel the collective anticipation of her crew, their minds working in harmony with the ship's quantum systems. This was what made the Helios different, not just its technology, but its ability to unite human consciousness into something greater than the sum of its parts. "Begin final approach," Victoria ordered. "All sections prepare for barrier contact in 60 seconds." The Helios's quantum field expanded, creating a bubble of altered space-time around the ship. Through the main viewport, the barrier's surface seemed to pulse in response, like a living membrane acknowledging their presence. 30 seconds to contact," Kai announced. "Quantum harmonics holding steady. The barrier's energy signature is changing. It's adapting to us." Victoria closed her eyes, opening herself fully to the neural link. Through it, she could feel every crew member, every system of the ship, all unified in this moment of first contact. The barrier's presence grew stronger in her mind, not hostile but questioning. 10 seconds. Dr. Whitmore's voice seemed to come from both inside and outside her mind. "Whatever happens next, we're making history." The countdown continued as the Helios approached the point of no return. 5 seconds. The barrier's surface began to ripple more intensely. 4 seconds. New patterns emerged in its energy field. 3 seconds. The quantum core's hum reached a fever pitch. 2 seconds. Victoria felt something reach out through the neural link, not from her crew, but from the barrier itself. 1 second. The Helios touched the barrier's surface, and reality itself seemed to hold its breath. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then, through the neural link, Victoria felt it, a presence vast beyond comprehension, ancient beyond measure, reaching out to touch their collective consciousness. The barrier wasn't just a wall. It wasn't just alive. It was a doorway, and for the first time in human history, someone was answering from the other side. The ship shuddered as energy cascaded through its systems. Warning alerts flashed across multiple stations, but there was no damage, only transformation. The quantum core's output surged beyond theoretical limits as the barrier's energy merged with their own. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Dmitri reported, his voice filled with wonder. The barrier is teaching us something. The data streaming through our systems, it's like nothing we've ever seen. Through the neural link, Victoria felt the first words of an impossible conversation begin to form. The barrier was speaking, not in language, but in pure concepts that bloomed directly in their collective consciousness. And with those concepts came a revelation that would change humanity forever. They weren't alone in the universe. They never had been, and now, finally, they were ready to learn why. Quantum resonance. The bridge of the Helios had transformed. Where once there were standard holographic displays, now crystalline structures grew from the walls, pulsing with information in patterns that shouldn't have been comprehensible to human minds. Yet through the neural link, the crew understood. Dr. James Whitmore's hands trembled as he manipulated the new interfaces. "The barrier isn't just communicating with us," he announced, his voice filled with awe. "It's rewriting the fundamental laws of physics around us. The quantum core is operating at 300% of theoretical maximum capacity, but it's stable, completely stable." Commander Victoria Rhodes felt the ship's transformation through the neural link. The Helios was evolving, becoming something that straddled the line between technology and consciousness. "Dr. Kapoor, what's happening to the crew?" Nisha Kapoor studied the biological readings with intense concentration. "Our neural patterns are shifting, Commander. The barrier's influence is affecting our consciousness, but not randomly. It's organizing us, like it's teaching our minds a new language." Through the transformed viewport, the barrier had become transparent, revealing glimpses of what lay beyond impossible geometries and colors that had no names in any human language. But more striking were the shadows they could see moving within the barrier itself, vast shapes that suggested intelligence and purpose. "New data stream incoming," Lieutenant Patel reported from his station, which had merged with the crystalline growths. It's like nothing we've ever seen. The mathematics alone would take our best AIs centuries to process, but somehow, through the neural link, we can understand it. Commander Dmitry Volkov's voice cut through the wonder. "Commander Rhodes, we're detecting multiple quantum signatures approaching our position. They're moving through the barrier like they're part of it." Victoria straightened in her command chair, which had become a nexus of crystalline tendrils. "Defensive systems." "Still online," Kai responded, "but they've changed. Everything we thought we knew about particle physics, quantum mechanics, it's like we were children playing with sticks and stones. The barrier is showing us what technology really means." Dr. Whitmore's eyes had taken on a strange, luminescent quality as he worked with the new systems. "Commander, I'm beginning to understand. The barrier isn't just a test, it's an evolutionary catalyst. Every species that reaches this point faces the same choice: evolve or retreat. The quantum resonance we're experiencing, it's changing us at the fundamental level." Through the neural link, Victoria could feel the truth of his words. The barrier's influence wasn't just affecting their technology, it was affecting their very consciousness, expanding it in ways that should have been impossible. Each crew member was becoming something more than human, their minds linking not just with each other, but with the fabric of space-time itself. "Multiple contacts materializing," Dmitri announced, his voice tight with tension. They're like us, Commander, ships from other species that passed the barrier's test, but they're not like anything we've ever imagined." The vessels that appeared before them defied conventional physics. They seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, their forms shifting and flowing like liquid thought. Through the enhanced neural link, Victoria could sense intelligence from them, ancient, profound, and waiting. "They're reaching out," Nisha reported, her dark eyes wide. "Not just communicating, they're offering to share their history, their knowledge. The barrier wasn't meant to keep us isolated. It was meant to prepare us for this moment." The quantum core pulsed with new energy as the alien vessels initiated contact. Through the neural link, images and concepts flooded into their collective consciousness. The history of 100,000 species that had faced this same threshold, each one changed forever by the encounter. Some had retreated, unable to accept the transformation. Others had embraced it, becoming part of something greater than themselves. "The mathematics," Dr. Whitmore whispered, "it's not just science, it's a blueprint for transcendence. The barrier is showing us how to evolve beyond our physical limitations, beyond our current understanding of reality itself." Victoria felt the weight of the moment press upon her. This wasn't just first contact, it was humanity's invitation to join something vast and ancient, a community of consciousness that spanned galaxies. But the price of admission was transformation, becoming something more than human. "New reading from the quantum core," Kai reported urgently. "The resonance is spreading, not just through the ship, it's transmitting back to Earth. Whatever's happening to us, it's affecting all of humanity." The crystalline growths had spread throughout the ship, turning the Helios into something that existed as much in quantum space as in normal space. Through the enhanced neural link, Victoria could feel the crew's thoughts, their fears and hopes mixing with the alien knowledge pouring into their minds. "Commander," Nisha's voice was filled with wonder, "the biological changes are accelerating. Our neural patterns are becoming quantum entangled with the barrier itself. We're not just communicating with it anymore, we're becoming part of it." The alien vessels moved closer, their presence in the neural link growing stronger. They weren't hostile, they were welcoming, like older siblings greeting a younger one who had finally grown up enough to join them. Victoria stood, feeling the ship respond to her movement like it was part of her own body. "Dr. Whitmore, begin full analysis of the transformation process. Dr. Kapoor, monitor crew stability. Whatever's happening to us, we need to understand it, not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity." The barrier's light pulsed around them, and through the neural link, Victoria felt the first true message from their alien observers. This was only the beginning. The real test and humanity's true transformation was about to begin. The architect's test. Time had lost all meaning aboard the Helios. The crystalline growths that had overtaken the ship pulsed with a rhythm that seemed to match the quantum fluctuations of space itself. Through the enhanced neural link, Commander Victoria Rhodes could feel every member of her crew evolving, their consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of normal human perception. "First trial incoming," Lieutenant Kai Patel announced, his voice resonating through both physical space and the quantum realm. The ship's sensors, now more organic than mechanical, detected massive energy waves approaching from within the barrier. Dr. James Whitmore's fingers danced across interfaces that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "The other species are withdrawing. This part we face alone." The first trial manifested as a sphere of pure energy that enveloped the Helios. Through the neural link, Victoria felt ancient presences stirring, the architects themselves, awakening to judge humanity's worthiness. "Multiple quantum signatures detected," Commander Dmitry Volkov reported, his consciousness streaming data through the ship's enhanced systems. They're showing us something, a memory." The sphere erupted with images. Countless civilizations that had reached this point faced these same trials. Some had succeeded, transcending their physical forms to join the cosmic community. Others had failed, their fear or aggression causing them to reject the transformation. But the images showed something else, the devastating consequences of premature advancement. "Now I understand," Dr. Nisha Kapoor whispered, her mind processing the biological implications of what they were seeing. "The barrier isn't just a test, it's a safeguard, species that aren't ready for this power." She didn't need to finish. The images showed worlds torn apart by quantum technologies they couldn't control, civilizations that had destroyed themselves with power they weren't prepared to wield. The first trial began in earnest. The sphere compressed, creating a space where the laws of physics became fluid, changeable. Through the neural link, Victoria felt the challenge. They had to navigate this chaos not with technology, but with consciousness itself. Quantum core responding, Kai reported, his voice strained. But our conventional systems are useless here. We have to think our way through. Victoria closed her eyes, opening herself fully to the neural link. She felt her crew's consciousness merge more deeply than ever before, becoming a singular entity. The barrier's energy flowed through them, teaching them how to perceive reality as the architects did, as a malleable construct shaped by thought and will. The patterns, Dr. Whitmore exclaimed, his mind grasping new mathematical concepts that defied traditional physics. They're not random. This chaos, it's a language, the most fundamental language of the universe. Through their collective consciousness, they began to understand. The swirling quantum energies weren't just a test of their technology or their intelligence. They were a test of their ability to evolve, to transcend their limited understanding of reality. The Helios moved through the quantum chaos, not with engines or conventional propulsion, but through the directed will of its unified crew. Each fluctuation in the physics around them required a corresponding adjustment in their collective consciousness. Second wave approaching, Dmitri warned. The chaos intensified, reality fragmenting into possibilities that existed simultaneously. The crew had to learn to perceive all outcomes at once, to navigate through quantum probability itself. Dr. Kapoor's monitoring of their transformation took on new urgency. Our neural patterns are approaching critical threshold. The barrier isn't just testing us, it's pushing us to evolve faster, to become something new. The crystalline growths throughout the ship pulsed with increasing intensity, responding to their expanding consciousness. Through the neural link, Victoria could feel her crew struggling with the transformation. They were becoming something more than human, their minds expanding to encompass concepts that their original forms couldn't have contained. Energy spike? Kai's warning came just as a new wave of quantum chaos engulfed them. This time, the challenge was even more fundamental. They had to learn to exist in multiple states simultaneously, to embrace quantum superposition not just as a concept, but as a state of being. Through the neural link, Victoria felt some of her crew falter, their minds struggling to accept this new reality. But she also felt their determination, their willingness to face whatever changes were necessary. Look, Dr. Whitmore's consciousness surged through the link. The mathematics, it's not just describing the transformation, it's guiding it. The architects left us a roadmap encoded in quantum fluctuations themselves. The crystalline structures had spread beyond the ship now, creating a web of quantum connections that linked them directly to the barrier's consciousness. Through these connections, Victoria could feel the attention of ancient intelligences, watching, evaluating. They're not just testing our ability to change, Nisha realized, her mind processing vast amounts of biological data. They're testing our wisdom, our understanding of the responsibility that comes with this power. The trials continued, each one pushing them further beyond their original limitations. The Helios and its crew were becoming something that defied classification, neither purely physical nor purely energy, but a hybrid state that could perceive and interact with all levels of reality. Through it all, Victoria held the crew together, their consciousness unified in purpose, if not always in understanding. The barrier's energy continued to flow through them, changing them in ways that would have been terrifying if they hadn't already begun to understand the necessity of transformation. As the final wave of the first trial subsided, a new presence made itself known through the neural link, the first direct communication from the architects themselves. Their thoughts carried the weight of eons, the wisdom of species that had evolved far beyond humanity's current understanding. The true test, Victoria realized, sharing the insight through the neural link, isn't whether we can survive these trials, it's whether we can understand why they're necessary. The architect's approval rippled through the quantum field. They had passed the first trial, but it was only the beginning. The next phase would challenge not just their ability to evolve, but their very understanding of what it meant to be conscious beings in a quantum universe. Evolution's price. The Helios hung suspended in a realm between realities, its crystalline structure now more thought than matter. Through the neural link, Commander Victoria Rhodes felt the growing tension among her crew as they grappled with their continuing transformation. They were no longer purely human, but neither had they fully transcended their original forms. Commander, Dr. Nisha Kapoor's consciousness pulsed with urgency through the link. The quantum changes are accelerating. Our original DNA structure is becoming fluid. We're existing in multiple states simultaneously. The ship's interior had become a maze of crystalline pathways that reflected their changing consciousness. Where once there were corridors and chambers, now there were quantum probability spaces where reality itself fluctuated with their thoughts. Lieutenant Kai Patel's presence in the neural link wavered. The quantum core it's not just powering the ship anymore, it's become part of us. We're the core now. Through the transformed viewport, Victoria watched as reality fragmented into infinite possibilities. Each fragment showed a different version of humanity's future, some glorious, others tragic. The architect's test had entered a new phase, one that challenged not just their ability to change, but their wisdom in directing that chain. Multiple quantum signatures approaching, Commander Dmitry Volkov announced, his consciousness spreading through the ship's enhanced sensors. Different from before, there. Echoes, reflections of ourselves from other probability streams. Dr. James Whitmore's thoughts cut through the chaos. The architects aren't just testing our ability to evolve. They're testing our ability to choose the right path among infinite possibilities. The crystalline growths pulsed with new energy as alternate versions of the Helios and its crew manifested around them. Through the neural link, Victoria could feel the thoughts and experiences of these other selves, versions that had made different choices, followed different paths. Some had rejected the transformation, clinging to their humanity at the cost of transcendence. Others had embraced it too eagerly, losing themselves in the quantum flux. Each version offered a lesson, a warning, a possibility. Our consciousness is fragmenting, Nisha reported, her voice tight with concern. The neural patterns are splitting across multiple quantum states if we don't find a way to stabilize. She didn't need to finish. Through the link, they all felt it, the risk of their consciousness dispersing across infinite possibilities, losing cohesion, losing self. Victoria felt the pressure of command in a way she never had before. Every decision she made now would ripple across multiple realities, affecting not just her crew, but potentially all of humanity. The architects had placed them at a crossroads of evolution itself. New data stream incoming, Kai announced, his consciousness merging deeper with the ship's systems. The architects are showing us something, possibilities, futures. The crystalline structures erupted with visions. Humanity spread across galaxies, evolved into beings of pure energy and thought. But alongside these glorious futures were darker ones, civilizations that had used their transcendence to dominate, to destroy, to remake reality in their image. The quantum mathematics, Dr. Whitmore's thoughts resonated through the link. They're not just describing physical transformation. They're describing ethical evolution. The architects want to know if we can handle this power responsibly. Through the neural link, Victoria felt her crew's struggles. Some were fighting the transformation, trying to maintain their human identity. Others were losing themselves in the quantum flux, their consciousness dispersing across multiple realities. Commander, Dimitri's voice carried a note of discovery. The other quantum signatures, they're not just showing us possibilities. They're showing us the cost of choice. Every version of ourselves that we don't become still exists, Nisha finished, her mind processing the implications. Somewhere in the quantum multiverse, we're not just choosing who we become, we're choosing who we leave behind. The crystalline growth had reached a critical point, transforming the Helios into something that existed across multiple dimensions. The barrier's energy flowed through them like a river of possibility, offering power beyond imagination, and with it, responsibility beyond measure. Victoria faced her fragmented crew, their consciousness scattered across probability space. "We need to choose," she sent through the neural link. "Not just what we become, but why we become it. The architects aren't testing our ability to evolve. They're testing our understanding of why evolution matters." Through the quantum field, she felt the architect's approval. This was the true test, not the physical transformation, but the moral and ethical evolution that had to accompany it. "The quantum core is stabilizing," Kai reported, his consciousness finding a balance between states. "But it's different now. We're not just channeling the energy, we're becoming it." Dr. Whitmore's thoughts carried new understanding. "The mathematics, they're not just equations anymore. They're philosophy, ethics encoded in quantum fluctuations. The architects built this barrier not just as a test, but as a teaching tool." The crystalline structures pulsed with possibility as the crew faced their moment of choice. They could retreat, maintaining their humanity but losing the chance at transcendence. They could embrace the change completely, losing their human identity but gaining cosmic awareness. Or they could find a middle path, something new, something that preserved their humanity while expanding beyond its limitations. Through the neural link, Victoria felt the weight of the decision. The architects had placed humanity's evolution in their hands, trusting them to choose wisely not just for themselves, but for all who would follow. As the quantum energies swirled around them, the true nature of the barrier's test became clear. It wasn't about proving their worth to the architects. It was about proving their worth to themselves. Beyond the veil, the Helios existed in a state that defied conventional physics, its crystalline structure spanning multiple dimensions of space-time. Commander Victoria Rhodes stood at the nexus of realities. Her consciousness expanded through the neural link to encompass not just her crew, but the very fabric of the quantum universe. "Final quantum signature approaching," Commander Dmitry Volkov announced, his thoughts rippling through the crystalline network. "It's massive, unlike anything we've encountered." Through the transformed viewport, reality itself seemed to part like a curtain. The architects, in their true form, emerged into their perception beings of pure quantum consciousness, existing simultaneously across all possible realities. Their complexity, Dr. James Whitmore's thoughts cascaded through the neural link. Each one contains the knowledge of billions of years, countless civilizations. They're not just guardians of the barrier, they're the living memory of the cosmos. Lieutenant Kai Patel's consciousness merged deeper with the ship's systems. The quantum core is responding to their presence. It's like they're offering us a key to understanding everything. The architect's consciousness touched their own, and suddenly the barrier's true purpose became clear. It wasn't just a test or a boundary. It was a doorway to the next stage of cosmic evolution, a threshold that every species had to cross in their own way. "The biological changes are stabilizing," Dr. Nisha Kapoor reported, her mind processing vast streams of data. "We're achieving quantum coherence across all crew members, whatever we're becoming. It's self-sustaining now." Through the neural link, Victoria felt the architect's final challenge unfold. They showed her humanity's possible futures, all of them, branching out across infinite probabilities. In some, humanity remained trapped by their physical limitations, eventually consuming their resources and fatting into cosmic insignificance. In others, they evolved but lost their essential humanity, becoming cold beings of pure logic and power. But there were other possibilities too, futures where humanity found a balance, maintaining their compassion and creativity while expanding into something greater. The architects weren't demanding that they choose a predetermined path, they were offering them the chance to forge their own. "Commander," Kai's thoughts carried a note of discovery, "the crystalline structures, they're not just changing us. They're creating a bridge, a permanent connection between our reality and whatever lies beyond the barrier." Victoria understood then. The transformation they had undergone wasn't an end, it was a beginning. The architects had prepared them to become builders themselves, to help guide other species when they reached this same threshold. "The quantum equations are resolving," Dr. Whitmore announced, his consciousness expanding to encompass new dimensions of mathematics. We're not just learning to exist in quantum states, we're learning to shape them, to create. Through the neural link, Victoria felt her crew's collective realization. The architects weren't looking for servants or soldiers. They were looking for equals, for new perspectives to add to the cosmic community. Multiple signals from Earth, Dmitri reported suddenly. The quantum resonance we initiated. It's spreading. Humanity is already beginning to change. The crystalline growths pulsed with new purpose as the architects shared their final message. They showed Victoria and her crew glimpses of what they could become, not gods, not rulers, but guides. Teachers who could help humanity navigate its own evolution while maintaining the values that made them human. The choice, Nisha's thoughts resonated through the link. It's not just about us anymore. We're choosing the path for all of humanity. Victoria stood in the quantum stream, feeling the weight of possibility around her. Through the neural link, she gathered her crew's consciousness, not to merge them into a single entity, but to create a harmony of distinct voices. We choose to evolve, she projected through the quantum field, but we choose to do so as ourselves. Not as beings of pure energy or logic, but as humans who have grown beyond their original limitations while keeping their humanity intact. The architect's approval rippled through reality itself. The barrier began to shift, not dissolving but transforming, becoming a bridge rather than a boundary. Through it, Victoria could see other civilizations that had made similar choices, each unique, each contributing their own perspective to the cosmic community. The quantum core is transforming, Kai reported with wonder. It's becoming a seed, a template for others to follow. Dr. Whitmore's consciousness expanded through the crystalline network. The mathematics! They're not just describing the universe anymore. They're showing us how to shape it, how to help others reach this point without losing themselves. The Helios began its transformation into its final form, not just a ship, but a nexus of consciousness that could travel between realities, a living bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. Through the neural link, Victoria addressed her crew one last time as purely human beings. We're not leaving our humanity behind. We're taking it with us into a larger universe. Everything that makes us human, our creativity, our compassion, our desire to explore and understand, these aren't weaknesses to be transcended. They're the gifts we bring to the cosmic community. The architect's presence began to fade, not leaving them but changing from teachers to equals. The barrier, once a wall that confined humanity to their galaxy, now became a gateway to infinite possibilities. As the transformed Helios prepared to return to Earth, carrying the seeds of humanity's evolution, Victoria felt not just pride or accomplishment, but hope. They had faced the ultimate test not by becoming something else, but by becoming more fully themselves. The journey back to Earth would be the beginning of a new chapter, not just for the crew of the Helios, but for all of humanity. They would return not as conquerors or gods, but as guides, ready to help their species take its first steps into a larger universe. The barrier shimmered one last time, its purpose fulfilled. Humanity had not just passed the test, they had understood its meaning. The galaxy and all the galaxies beyond awaited.